You know those days when you just want to grab a coffee, catch the morning sun, and watch the waves? Yeah, well, my day started with a hurricane named Karen. It was a pretty typical Tuesday morning at the surf shack, just as the early birds were getting ready for their lessons. I was Ava, and my job was to get them set up with boards, wetsuits, and all the good stuff. I was minding my own business, wiping down a longboard, when this woman, let's call her Karen because, well, she just was stormed in. She looked like a thundercloud in a floral sundress, arms crossed, face pinched, practically radiating bad vibes. Finally, she snapped, loud enough to make a couple of grommets jump. I've been waiting forever. I put the board down, pasting on my best customer service smile. Hey there, welcome to the Surf Shack. I'm Ava, how can I help you today? Are you here for lessons or equipment rental? I genuinely thought she was a new student. Karen just scoffed like I'd suggested she surf a shark. Lessons, rental. No, I'm not here for any of that. She made a dismissive hand gesture towards the neatly stacked boards. I need you to move that. She pointed a perfectly manicured, accusing finger out the open door. Towards a rather large pile of various beach gear. A couple of big towels, a cooler, a handful of plastic sand toys, and a brightly colored beach umbrella. Just chilling on the sand, a few yards from our entrance. I blinked. Move that, I asked, trying to keep the confusion out of my voice. Our shack is a surf school, not a general beach porter service. My job involves teaching people how to ride waves, not haul personal belongings. Ma'am, I'm really not sure what you mean. We don't typically move personal beach items. Is that yours? Karen's face tightened, her eyes narrowed. Of course it's not mine. What do I look like, a common beach bum? It's just in the way, it's an eyesore. And frankly, you people are supposed to be helpful, aren't you? It's your job to keep this area clean and tidy for paying customers. Her voice was rising, drawing the attention of a family patiently waiting nearby, clutching their own surf gear. I noticed Karen throw a quick, almost imperceptible glance their way, then immediately stiffen. Look, I understand you'd like it moved, I said, trying to de-escalate, but I work for the surf school. My duties are specifically related to lessons and rentals. I can't just pick up random beach gear. It's not part of my job description. Don't you dare tell me what your job description is, she practically shrieked, her voice echoing in the small shack. I demand you move that pile, now. Or I'll speak to your manager. She was jabbing her finger at me, then at the gear, then back at me. This was classic Karen-level entitlement. My smile had long since vanished. My patience was wearing thin, but I knew I had to stand my ground. Ma'am, with all due respect, I've explained that I cannot do that. That gear isn't ours, and I won't move something that doesn't belong to the school. I crossed my arms, mirroring her stance, trying to project a calm but firm demeanor. Karen gasped, clearly not used to being told no. Her face went from red to a mottled purple. Unbelievable, just utterly unbelievable. This is the worst service I have ever experienced. She huffed, spun on her heel, and stomped out of the shack, muttering threats about corporate and how I'd be hearing from her. I watched her march off down the beach. A human storm front, heading for the horizon. I let out a slow breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Well, that was fun, I muttered under my breath, earning a sympathetic chuckle from the waiting family. I turned to them, ready to get their lesson started, when we all heard it. A loud, clattering crash from just outside the shack's entrance. What in the... I started, walking to the doorway to investigate. And there it was. The pile of beach gear that Karen had demanded I move was now scattered, dumped unceremoniously, right in front of our main entrance. And walking away, looking very pleased with herself, was Karen. She'd apparently taken it upon herself to move the gear. I stared at the mess, then back at the departing Karen, then at the family behind me. The dad's jaw was practically on the floor. Oh my gosh, the mom whispered, her eyes wide with disbelief. That's our stuff. I whipped my head around. Wait, really, that's your gear? The teenage daughter nodded, looking mortified. Yeah, we were waiting for our mom. She went for a quick walk down the beach. That lady, that was our mom. My mind reeled. That was your mom. And she was demanding me to move your family's gear. And then she just dumped it here. The puzzle pieces clicked into place. Karen's earlier glance at them, her insistence it wasn't her gear, her ridiculous demand. She was trying to get me to do her bidding, probably because she was too proud or lazy to move her own family's things, and didn't want them to see her doing it. The dad just shook his head, looking utterly mortified. I have no words. I am so sorry about that. She was probably just trying to make it look like it wasn't ours or something. Or she just didn't want to carry it. I helped them gather their scattered belongings, feeling a mix of amusement and residual annoyance. Don't worry about it, I told them, handing over a brightly colored beach ball. You guys have a great lesson, okay? As they headed off to the water, still shaking their heads and apologizing for their Karen, I just chuckled. It was a bizarre start to the day, for sure. But hey, at least I stuck to my guns, and in the end, I even got to help a genuinely nice family, even if their mom was a total pain in the butt. Sometimes, you just gotta stand up to a Karen, even when she's trying to make you move her own family's stuff.
All right, the last story is wild, and it's not what you think. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next round.
You ever have one of those shifts where you can just feel the chaos brewing? Mine started like any other Tuesday at the hospital coffee stand, the low hum of the espresso machine, the comforting scent of brewing coffee mingling with that faint, sterile hospital smell, and me, Aubrey, refilling the sweetener caddy for the 100th time. It was the calm before the storm, apparently. I was just tucking a new carton of half and half into the mini fridge when this woman, let's call her Karen, materializes in front of the counter. She had that look, you know. The one that screams, I am important and my demands are urgent. She points a perfectly manicured finger at me, ignoring the half-finished tray of creamers I was setting out. Excuse me, she barks, but you need to get a new carton of milk from the back, and those sugar shakers, they're practically empty. Get on it. Okay, first of all, rude. Second, I was literally in the middle of restocking. But hey, customer service, right? So I flash my most neutral happy to help smile. I'm just finishing up here, ma'am, and then I can certainly grab those for you. We just got a fresh delivery, so it'll only be a moment. That's when her whole demeanor shifted. Her eyes narrowed. No, you don't understand. I need you to do it now. And while you're at it, I need you to take me to room 412. My husband is there and I can't find it. My smile faltered. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I can't do that. I work here at the coffee stand and I'm not actually allowed past certain areas of the hospital, especially not patient floors. You'll need to ask someone at the information desk for directions. I gestured vaguely down the hall. My uniform, a black polo with the coffee stand logo, was pretty distinct from a nurse's scrubs or an aide's uniform, you'd think. She just scoffed. Don't be ridiculous, you work for the hospital, don't you? You're being deliberately unhelpful. Just take me to room 412, it's not that hard. Her voice started to rise, drawing a few curious glances from the handful of people waiting for their lattes. I tried again, my patience wearing thin. Ma'am, I understand you're frustrated, but I genuinely can't take you to a patient room. It's a security protocol thing. My job is here serving coffee and snacks. This is unacceptable, she practically shrieked, slamming her hand on the counter, making a stack of paper cups jump. You are just lazy, get your manager. I want to speak to someone who actually knows how to do their job. My heart was thumping a little faster now. This was quickly spiraling. I caught the eye of my coworker Marco, who was manning the espresso machine, and gave him the subtle help me nod. He immediately clocked the situation and started slowly making his way over, wiping his hands on a cloth. Bless his soul. Just as Marco reached my side, trying to offer a calm, "Is everything all right here, ma'am?" Karen's voice hit a new crescendo. "No, everything is not all right. This girl is refusing to do her job and take me to my husband's room." Her outburst was loud enough that it echoed down the sterile hallway. Suddenly, a nurse who'd been walking by, probably on her way to a break, paused. She gave us a knowing, sympathetic glance, then quietly peeled off towards the direction of the security station. Marco and I exchanged a look, relief swiftly followed by dread because we knew what was coming next. Sure enough, within a minute, 2 security guards appeared, their presence instantly making the air feel heavier. They were big guys in crisp blue uniforms, and they moved with purpose. One of them, a calm-faced man with a serious expression, stepped forward. "Ma'am, is there a problem here?" "Yes, there is a huge problem." Karen pointed at me, her finger practically vibrating. "This girl is refusing to help me. She won't take me to my husband's room, and she won't even refill the milk." The guard turned his gaze to me, and I quickly explained, "Sir, I'm Aubrey. I work here at the coffee stand." She's asking me to take her to a patient room, and I'm not allowed to leave my post or escort visitors past the lobby. The guard nodded, his expression unchanging. He then turned back to Karen. Ma'am, she's correct. Staff working in retail services like the coffee stand are not authorized to escort visitors to patient rooms. That's a hospital security policy. If you need directions, the information desk is just around the corner. That's when Karen truly lost it. Her face went blotchy red and her voice became a high-pitched, wobbly scream. This is absolutely ridiculous. I demand to see my husband. You people are incompetent. I know my rights. She started flailing her arms, practically vibrating with fury. The other security guard, who had been observing silently, stepped forward, his voice firm and low. Ma'am, you need to calm down. Your behavior is causing a disturbance. If you continue to be aggressive and yell, we will have to escort you off the property. My blood ran cold. I just wanted to disappear. Marco and I retreated a step, trying to look busy wiping down an already clean counter, letting the professionals handle it. It was like watching a particularly volatile train wreck in slow motion. For another few excruciating minutes, Karen alternated between angry demands and indignant wails, but the guards were unshakable. They managed to slowly, firmly, and very patiently guide her away from our counter. I saw them gently but definitively steer her toward the information center, her indignant muttering fading down the hall. The moment they were out of sight, Marco and I just stared at each other, letting out a synchronized, shaky breath. Well, he said, wiping sweat from his brow, that was a Monday on a Tuesday. I just nodded, my hands still feeling a little tingly. It took me a good while to get back to my rhythm, my mind replaying the scene. It's just wild, isn't it? How some people, when they don't get exactly what they want, will completely lose all sense of reality, even when two very large, very official security guards are telling them no. You'd think a hospital, of all places, would be somewhere people understand rules. Guess not. Anyway, that's my story for today. Definitely a memorable one. Stay safe out there, guys.
Alright Reddit, Julian here again. You know those days when you just want to grab a gallon of milk and get home, but the universe decides you need to earn it. Yeah, this was one of those days, and it wasn't even my day, technically. This one's about two of my buddies, a firefighter and a paramedic, who just wanted some dang oranges. So picture this: Mike, a firefighter with a beard that could rival a grizzly, and Sarah, a paramedic who's seen more weird stuff than an alien autopsy, had just wrapped up a particularly gnarly 24-hour shift. They were both still in their utility uniforms, those dark blue, vaguely official-looking pants and polo shirts with the department patches on them. Tired, smelling faintly of smoke and, well, life-saving, they decided to hit up the grocery store on the way home for some ingredients for a much-needed, no-fuss dinner, probably something they could just throw in a slow cooker and collapse. They were in the produce aisle, probably debating the merits of organic kale. Kidding, they were probably grabbing steaks, when this middle-aged woman, who I'll call Karen for narrative convenience, sailed right up to them. She looked like she'd just wrestled a coupon book and lost. "Excuse me," she barked, not really a question. "Do you have any more oranges in the back? This bin is practically empty." She gestured vaguely at a half-full display of navel oranges. Mike, bless his tired soul, just blinked at her. No ma'am, we don't work here," he said, trying to sound as friendly as humanly possible on 3 hours of interrupted sleep. "We're just grabbing some stuff for dinner." Karen squinted at them, her brow furrowed like a crumpled receipt. "But you're wearing uniforms." Her tone implied this was irrefutable proof of their employment. "You work here, right, in the grocery store." Sarah, who was already mentally halfway to her couch, sighed almost imperceptibly. "No, ma'am," she chimed in a little more directly than Mike. "These are our work uniforms. We're a firefighter and a paramedic. We just came from our shift." She even pointed to her name tag, which clearly read paramedic. Mike's chest patch was just as clear, Fire DEPT. Karen's eyes darted between their patches, then back to their faces, a look of profound disbelief settling on her features. "But you look like you work here," she insisted, her voice rising a notch. "You're in uniform. Can you please just help me find more oranges? It's your job." Mike tried again, a hint of weariness creeping into his voice. "We understand your confusion, ma'am, but we really don't work for this store. We're off-duty first responders." He even added a little hand gesture towards the ceiling, as if to say, the actual store employees are over there. But Karen was not to be deterred. She took a step closer, planting her hands on her hips. "This is ridiculous. Why would you wear uniforms if you didn't work here? That's just misleading. You should be able to help me." I need oranges. Her voice was now loud enough that a couple of shoppers nearby glanced over. Sarah had reached her limit. Her patience, like the orange bin, was now practically empty. She gave Karen a look that could curdle milk. "Ma'am," she said, her voice dropping to a low, firm tone, "we respond to medical emergencies and put out fires. We don't stock produce. We don't know where the oranges are. We don't even know if this store has a back." She pointed again to her uniform. "See this patch? It doesn't say grocery store assistant. It says paramedic, and his says fire department. Do you understand?" Karen, however, just doubled down. Her face was turning a blotchy red. "I don't care what your little patches say. You're wearing uniforms, you're in a store, you're supposed to help customers. Now are you going to get me those oranges, or do I need to speak to your manager?" She even tried to puff out her chest, looking utterly indignant. Mike finally just rubbed his temples. He dealt with drunk drivers, panicking family members, and actual burning buildings, but this woman was a special kind of exhausting. "Ma'am, with all due respect, our manager is probably sleeping right now after dealing with a grease fire at a diner across town. And if you tried to explain this to him, he'd probably think you were the one having a medical emergency." A younger store employee who had obviously heard the escalating argument finally walked up, looking apologetic but also highly amused. "Is everything all right here, ma'am?" he asked Karen, barely suppressing a chuckle as he eyed Mike and Sarah's uniforms. Karen immediately turned her fury on him. "No, everything is not all right. These two refuse to help me find oranges, even though they're clearly employees. They say they're firefighters. Can you believe it?" The employee, bless his soul, glanced at Mike and Sarah, a smile now playing openly on his lips. "Ma'am, these fine folks definitely don't work here. They're first responders. I can show you where the rest of our oranges are, though." Karen huffed, still glaring at Mike and Sarah, as if they'd personally stolen her last orange. "Well, it's just plain rude to wear uniforms if you don't work here," she grumbled as the actual employee led her away. Mike and Sarah just stood there for a moment, letting out a synchronized sigh that probably drained the last ounce of oxygen from the aisle. Mike looked at Sarah, a weary grin spreading across his face. "Guess we should start wearing clown costumes when we go shopping, huh?" Sarah just shook her head, grabbing a bag of apples instead of oranges. "Honestly, Mike, I'm just glad she didn't try to get us to treat a hangnail. They paid for their groceries, eager to shed their uniforms and that day's particular brand of absurd. Sometimes even heroes just want to buy their dinner in peace."
Feel like keeping it going? Here's a solid pick.